welcome to HR Cafe. My name is Nicole Bellow and I'm the Senior HR Director for Smarty HR Solutions. So come on today, let's talk about our HR Cafe topic of the day, and it is workplace harassment. Now I know we've heard so much about this in the news, we hear about it locally, we hear about it outside of our state, but one of the main things that can deter performance in the workplace is when someone is being harassed. Now, I'm not only talking about sexual harassment, which is the first thing that comes to people's minds, but there's a lot of different other type of harassment in the workplace as it relates to maybe age, race, national origin, sexual orientation, as well as bullying in the workplace. You would think bullying would have been left at the schoolyard, but unfortunately it has leaked out into our workforce. So I want to make sure that we're addressing those issues and making sure everyone has a safe and comfortable environment to work in. So we want to make sure we don't hinder productivity by missing the boat on workplace violence or workplace harassment. So we'll talk about that today, kind of go over some most commonly asked questions, and then I'll give you our number and you can contact us if you'd like to schedule a free 30-minute consultation if you have something that's currently going on, or if you want to be proactive and have 2020 vision in 2020 and work on your policies in your handbook. So your handbook should be addressing workplace harassment in your handbook. It should be up to date. Make sure you have all of your requirements for state and federal in your handbook, and just make sure you review those policies every year. So if anything change, you can be current and on top of everything, because not knowing is not a good excuse when someone actually brings a claim or a complaint against your company. Okay, so let's talk about workplace harassment. So we know that most companies are covered if they have 15 employees or more in their workplace, covered under EEOC for different type of harassment. That does not mean if you have less than 15 people, you are exempt. It does not mean that. They can still go to EEOC and they will refer them to a local agency so they can get the help that they need if they cannot get that inside of your organization. So, how common is workplace harassment and who is most frequently involved? So, most frequently involved harassers almost comes from management, because there's a quid pro quo or something for something where someone feels that they have to go along with the program to either keep their job, be promoted, or get raises, things like that. So that's one of the most common in the workplace. But when managers take on that role, they are taking on a responsibility. So if it's happening, they can be sued personally as well as the company if nothing is being done about the harassment. So if someone's coming to you and telling you about a manager or supervisor or even another team member, you are bound to do something about that, because if you don't, they can name the company, and whoever they've told the complaint to, they can name those people in the lawsuit. So you want to make sure you're giving people the avenues of what to do to grieve, who to complain to, and make sure you do your full investigation if there is an issue at work. What kind of policies and procedures should a company have in place to address harassment? Well, your handbook, you should have a harassment policy, and you should have what they should do if something happens. So, for instance, if you have an HR professional, that person would go to the HR professional and have a conversation. If they're being harassed by their boss, of course the expectation is not for them to go to that person and say, hey, you're harassing me. So they have to have some avenue or somewhere to go for that. So if you don't have an HR professional at work and you're the business owner, then you're the person. So if someone's complaining about someone, you have to make sure that you do your due diligence and making sure you investigate, get names, witnesses, whatever, so you can get down to the root of the problem and resolve the issue as quickly as possible. In a regular in-service training on workplace harassment, who should be conducting this meeting? Well, once again, if you have an HR professional, they should be conducting a meeting. If a business owner is savvy and understands all the ins and outs, they can conduct the meeting. Or, as most of our clients that we have, they will use us as an outsourced resource to come in and do the training. And sometimes having an outside resource come in and do the training is a lot better than having it in-house, because things that you may feel uncomfortable about addressing or things that you want to change, if you've seen something in the workplace, then that outside resource can address that, get the issue resolved, and then you guys can kind of revisit your policies and get people to sign on them again on an update and kind of start that process over. So sometimes it's good to do it externally just to remove yourself a little bit from the situation. Employer rights. If they're being harassed at work, what should they do if they're being violated? Well, they need to try to seek some sort of resolve inside the organization by working their way up the hierarchy at all possible. If they cannot resolve it inside, you are bound to let them know how to go and grieve. So they should go to the EEOC and seek out a consultation, and if there's founded evidence on harassment, then they will give them the proper way to grieve, what they need to do, give them a letter of a right to sue. Sometimes they do try to put the parties together to make sure they can try to resolve it before it escalates to a different legal matter. But remember, people are protected based on race, religion, color, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, disabilities, genetic information. And guys, also, if a person is age 40 or over, they're in a protected class as well. So just be aware. I would just say treat everyone as if they were in a protected class. And that way everybody is covered for whatever reason. And just make sure that this kind of attitude, this cultural thing against harassment in the workplace, make sure it's coming from the top. When people realize that the boss, the owner, the managers are not going to take and have a zero tolerance policy on harassment and bullying in the workplace, then everyone will have to get on board. Those who do not, they need to not be at your company, because they can do a lot of damage for you financially, ruin your reputation, and just really make it very hard for others in the workplace and reduce productivity. So those are my things for you today on workplace harassment and bullying. Please make sure you're visiting your handbook, taking a look at those policies, and you know we're always here to help. Our number is 713-999-1205. You can call us or go to our website at www.smartyhrsolutions.com and schedule an appointment. We'll look forward to speaking to you soon next week. And once again, thank you for joining HR Cafe. Bye-bye.